Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of access modifiers, and after that we'll move on to the introduction to the OOPs. Okay. First, we'll discuss what is an access modifier and why we need that. In this further, I can create a new package. My new package is com.dateful. In this, I can create a new class. First, we'll discuss that access modifier. Later, we'll move to the OOPs. I'm creating a class. In Java, access modifiers are the four types. First, we'll see what are those access modifier. Access modifier is you are specifying a class or a method, the range of the scope. That means you are maintaining a scope to how can you access the class inside your package or project. Where can you use it? First, we have the four types of access modifiers. Four types in Java. In that first one is default. Suppose you are not creating any package, or if you are not creating, suppose if I am not creating here anything, then by default it will be the default. Take it as a access modifier is nothing but what you are using in front of the class or a method: public, private, protected, and default. Default means if you are not mention anything before the name or of the class name or a method name, it will be considered as a default. And scope of this default type scope is within the package. That means the entire class or the method you can access within the package. We'll discuss about the class only. You can access that class within the package. Why? Because the methods are also including in the class. So suppose you want to access the methods, must and should you have to access that class because of that. So within the package you can access within package. The default scope is for within package. Second one is a public. Public means it is an access modifier. The scope for this is you can access everywhere in the project. That means outside the package also you can able to access everywhere within project. That means this entire project, December 8 batch project, you can access that public class in the com.day1 package or day10 package or day12 package or day4 package, day12 package, like that. You can access anywhere in the different packages within the project. Next, the third one is the private. The private scope is within the class only. Within the class. Outside the class you can't able to access private methods and variables. Next thing will be the protected. Protected also the same like private, but you can access in the inherited or child classes also. Suppose you are declaring a variable or a method with a protected, then you can access that variables and the methods within the class along with the child class. Within the class and also in the child classes. These are the four types we have. This private and protected we are used a lot in the encapsulation concept. We are see what is an encapsulation and all the things. And this public and default we can use anywhere. Suppose first we'll go with the public and the private. Suppose here I have a public class, right? First we'll show with the public. Suppose here I can print access modifiers class. Okay, and I can take the same thing in the other project. I'll go with the com day one. Okay, I'll go to the com day one project basic structure. Yeah. Hmm. Suppose you want to access outside the package the existing one, you have to first import that class into that file. Suppose this is the basic structure, it is in the package of com.day1, but my access modifier class in com.day2. So first you have to import that. Import is a method to import the necessary modules and all. Com.day12, right? Day12 but star means you can get the all the classes inside that. Suppose you want the particular class, then you can go with the access modifiers. This is the way you can have to import the class, and you can create an object here. Suppose that class I can create an object. Okay, my access modifier is the class. You can create a class here, and you can call the any method you want. You can call any method of this one. Suppose I can create a method in this public. Suppose if I create this method also in a private mode, then I can't able to access it. Why? Because I am outside the class, I'll try to access it, right? So public method one, this is a access modifiers class. Anything you want to access within the class, but it is outside from the package, you have to first import that class, and later you have to create an object and call that access ac dot method one, right? It will shows launching basic structure. Okay, this is access modifier method. Normally here you have to observe the how the public range you have to observe. Public access modifier you can access outside the packages also, everywhere you can want within the project, but you have to import that. First you have to import that class into the particular instance where you want, later you can access it, create an object and you can access it. Okay, this is the public. Suppose in place of access modifier I'll remove this public. Here you can get an error. Why? Because access modifier have no scope to access in the package. Why? Because it is a default scope. Default has the scope only within the package. Only within the package. That means, wait a minute. Public. Okay. public. Go. Okay, now in the same I can create another class for a oops. Okay, oops intro, my new class, my class name is oops intro, public static void main string args. Now here I can remove that public. Okay, inside this I can remove this public, and mm, here I am trying to access it. Suppose you want to access that access modifiers class. Suppose, okay, you can get it. Why? Because it is a default class. It is a default class, so you can access within the package. It is also under the com.date12, and also it is under the com.date12. So both are in the same package, so you can access that class anywhere in the package you want. By you are not importing all, import also not necessary to that. Why? Because both are in the same project. Default has the scope to that. Okay, and because of that in the package every class name is should be unique. Suppose I am trying to creating the same class name with the access modifier, it will throw an error. Why? Because in the package you are must maintaining the unique class names. Because of this default scope for that, then you can access anywhere you want. So ac dot method one, you can get the same output. Right, this is the default scope. Default scope means within the package you can want any, you can access anywhere in the class. The same thing you can go with the private. Okay, suppose it is a private. Now I'm trying to access in the whoops.intro, which is private. It will throw an error. Why? Because private has the only scope to access within the class, but I am trying to accessing outside the class, this ac.method one. So it will throw an error. These private methods and the protected will be the plays a key role in the concept of encapsulation. Why? Because you have to bind the data to the same class. That's the purpose. Okay, this is the way. Suppose I am getting the error. Why? Because here I have the scope of only in the class. So but I am trying to accessing outside the class also. In place of this I'll change with the protected. Okay, suppose protected. Now also I can get an error. Why? Because protected has the scope within the child classes. Protected void. Wait a minute. Within the child classes you can access it. Oops is also under the package, right? Normally child classes means you have to inherit here extends by using the access modifier. Then you can have to create the oops.intro. You can call it. That is normally inheritance. By that means oops intro will become a child to that access modifier. So you can access it. Why? Because protected you can access in the childs also. That is the difference between private access modifier and protected. Private has the only to access in the class, within the class. Outside the class it is not possible. But you have to access outside the in the child class also protected. That is the difference you have to observe between private and the protected ones. Okay. This is about that access modifiers types and all the things. You have to understand the, if you are declaring a class or a method with the this access modifier, what will be the scope to that, and where can, suppose you want to access that access modifier or the methods and the classes with that access modifiers, what the statements you have to include. Normally outside the classes, if you are trying to include, then import the packages in the instance where you have to access that one. You have to import the necessary package class. Normally suppose you want to access that scanner class, what you do, you are trying to import that, right? Import. It is protected, huh? If you observe, it is protected, so because of that I can't able to access in the basic structure. Suppose if I inherit it, then it possible. Right. Next we'll move to the oops concepts. First we have to understand the what is a oops. Object oriented programming system. Object oriented programming system. Normally when we are doing a programming, there are some approaches. One was a procedural approach, one was functional approach, one was that oops concept. That is a object oriented programming approach. We are calling it as a paradigms. Paradigms is nothing but one way of how to do a program. Normally your Java follows that oops only. Why? Because all the things you have to write under the class, all the things you write under the class only, right? So because of that. Okay. First thing, first you have to understand some terminology. Oops means object oriented programming system. Okay, yes means system. It is one it is a programming paradigm. That means it is a programming approach. Your Java follows this only. Okay. In this first, there are some terms we have. First one was a class. Next, object, class and object. What is a class and what is an object? Means a class is nothing but a blueprint. That means suppose if you observe this Eclipse interface, right? Suppose they want to build this Eclipse interface, first they have some plan how to do it. What is the basic prototype they have to do, right? That means they are have some planning to that, what the variables they have to use. That means they have some blueprint. Why? Because the blueprint is the major important here is suppose with the one blueprint you can produce the n number of objects. Imagine a case, imagine a case, I am handling one what it is suppose one school attendance system or one school database of the students and all the students have the same variables, right? All the students have the same things of name, age, email and address. The basic details are same for the all the students. Suppose imagine the thing suppose imagine the thing I have to perform these four variables or the four functionalities for every student. What you have to do normally, in a functional approach you have to go with the for loops and create and things. But in a way, suppose you want to access the first student, or suppose I have the hundreds of students. Imagine the things. Suppose it is one class. My class contains the variables of name, age, and brand. Suppose, okay, for a while, these are the three things. These are the three things are common for the every child. Suppose I have the 100 childs. Two, 1, 2, 3. Like that, I have the 100 childs. Suppose I want to store the first student name, second student name, third student name. Like that's 100 student names I have to store. How can I do it? Right. Suppose I want to know the fifth student name. How can I do it? For that, you have a concept of oops. By using this, you can create an object for by it is a class. For every student you can create an object. Suppose it is an object one for the first student, then object one dot name means first student name, object one dot age means first student age, object one dot branch means first student branch. Like this you can get the every student data individually. The same details you are creating objects. Simply it is like a blueprint. It stores the information of object. Class stores the information of object. Suppose this is one object, one is one object, that means one student is one object. The student information only the class holds, right? But in the form of variables. But in the form of variables, the student details only the class occupies. Like this you can create for the under student. Normal scenarios you can imagine the thing. Suppose you have a building blueprint. Suppose you have a building blueprint. By using this one building blueprint you can develop the hundreds of buildings, right? Hundreds of buildings you can develop. That means by using the one class you can create the multiple real world entities. Object is a real world entities, class is a blueprint. Observe the thing, right? Suppose take an example of inhaler blueprint also. For hundreds of inhalers the blueprint is common, right? The blueprint is common. What is the basic structure you have to maintain, what are the methodologies, what are the functionalities, all are the same for the hundreds of inhalers. But but every inhaler has the same different values. Suppose one with a blue color, one with a white color, that means property values will be differ, but property is same. Suppose color is the property you can take. The property is same what it is color for hundreds, but value will be differ. One with the white, one with the black, one with the green, like that value will be differ. In the objects also the same thing. Value of the properties will be differ. Properties are same. Properties and methods were same for all the objects, but values will be different. That is the thing. Now you have to understand class means the blueprint of object. That means it stores the information of object. Next, object means physical entity. Physical means not a you are touchable, right? It will be a something like existence to your class or real world entity. Real world entity of the class. That means suppose you want to access the class variables and all, must and should you have to create the object only. It will possible to access the methods. In the methods concept, normal methods concept also you do the same thing, right? First you are creating an object. After that by using the object only you can access the methods and the variables, right? Class means a blueprint, object means the real world entity of the class. That means the physical existence which you are using. And suppose if you are creating a class, then it will not allocate a memory inside your JVM. Whenever you are creating an object only, that the time only it will allocate some memory to that object. Anytime it will not allocate memory for the classes, it will allocate memory to the objects only. It will allocate memory to the objects. Suppose it is my oops intro class, right? What the class contains, first you have to understand what the class contains. It contains properties and methods, only two things, properties and methods. Your class contains properties and methods. Properties means simply like suppose in the inhaler, as I take it as an example, inhaler color is one property. Color is one property like a variable. Okay, color is a property. And functionality is suppose you are press, when you are press, it will releases some antioxidants like that, right? It was one functionality. Press is one functionality. Press is one functionality, and color is one property. Like just take the example of a dog. Dog has the, suppose dog has some breed. Okay, dog has a nose, dog has eyes. It all becomes properties. That means values which it has. Suppose dog can eat. Eat is one functionality. It will be a method. And also dog can run. Okay, dog can run, it will be functionality. Properties means the values of a class, methods means functionalities, some functionality what you are done. Okay, properties and the methods. Suppose take this oops intro as a one class. uh, for this class, okay, I can create the public public variables. That means properties I can create. The properties one is a string name. Okay, the same way public int age. These are the two variables or the two properties I have mentioned for my oops intro class. And the methods will be the public void, suppose display is my method. Okay, display is the method. In the display is my method. In the display what I am doing here is suppose I want to display my name and the age of a student. Suppose name is with the age of, is with the age of age. Okay, this is the way. Suppose if you want to access those names and the properties and the methods, you have to create an object for that. How can you create an object? We already know it, right? Object creation. How to create an object is class name. Why? Because normally how can I create a variable? By using the data type, right? By mentioning the data type. Like this here, your object data type is a class name only. Object data type is your class name only. Normally suppose take this as a int a equals to 10, like this. Take this as like int a equals to 10. Here oops intro is data type like int. Okay, but data type here is you are using the, you are creating object, right? Object always will be the class data type. So class, and ob is my like a, that means variable. And how can you create an object is new, the same. Oops intro, oops intro of, like this way you can create. It's, it is we are calling as a default constructors. We are calling this as a default constructor. Constructor is nothing but a, suppose you want to initialize some values, then constructor will help you. It is a like a some default constructor. Okay, you are calling this, and suppose you can access. Suppose you want to assign the name. Here ob1 is my object one, suppose. The same like way control C, control V. It will be the OB2. Okay. Now OB1 dot name, OB1 dot name, OB1 dot name equals to suppose Ram. Okay. The same way OB2 dot name equals to Sita. Okay. Suppose if I call this display method OB1 dot display, then what it would be display? I am expecting the display of RAM with the age of the value. You can observe the value, no? RAM with the age of 0. Why you are getting the 0? Because there is a concept of default values to the data type. For integer, the default value is 0. Integer has the default value of 0. That means float also has the 0.0. For character, it will be the space. For character, it will be the space. For the boolean, it will be the false by default. Okay. But if default values has to be assigned to the variables, it has to be placed as a class variables, not a method variables. Suppose I can initialize this in the main method, then it will becomes method variables, not a class variables. So if default values can apply to the variables, then it should be a class variable. It has to be a class variable, not a method variables. Okay. If the same thing I am trying to do here, suppose I will directly mention int a and I am not assigning any value to that. If I will try to print it, okay, 6 out of a, then I can get an error. Why? Because you are not assigning any value to that a. But here it will not show like that. Why? Because it is a class variable, not a method variable. Okay, class variables can be assigned with a default values. Okay, right. This is the way you can create an object. Suppose you want to access the parameters. Suppose you want to access the properties that object dot name. Normally what here it will happen is every object it will create a some memory space. For every object it will create some memory space. Suppose object 1 dot name is different, object 2 dot name is different. Object 1 stores at different location, object 2 stores at different location. Both are not in a combined way. There is a some separation between them. Okay, so object 1 dot name is different. That means every time you are creating an object, the entire what are the properties it has, it will create it for the every object. You understand the thing? If you are creating hundreds of objects, that means it will create hundreds of name variables, hundreds of age variables with the separation. That means object 1 have the different properties, object 2 have the different property values. How can you access it? Because of this one. Suppose if you simply call ob2 dot display, then it will display Sita, right? Why? You are calling with the instance of ob2. Instance and object both are the same things. Okay, instance and objects are the both are the same things. The terminology is different. ob2 is an instance of the object 2. So ob2 dot display means it will display Sita. How your class will understand? You have to display Sita, not Rama, because of this object 2 only. That means in the same here, that means when you are creating an object, it will create in the memory some space with the object 1 and also for the object 2. Okay, suppose it is the object 1, it is the ob1 with the memory of at the memory of 102. Okay, imagine the thing. The same thing here, it is a ob2 with the memory of 107. Okay, 107 or something, anyway. Okay, The same concept you have to understand here. Here also you have a name. Here also you have a name. Here also you have age. That means also for the object to also, here you have a name and here you have age. That means when you are calling ob1 dot name, then it will refers to here. But name is a string, right? The string literals all are stored in a string constant pool. Suppose uh, imagine this entire thing as a one JVM, one JVM mission. Okay, imagine these objects are stored in a heap memory. Okay, this entire thing are stored in the heap memory. All the object references are stored in the heap memory. You have a string constant pool. The string values all are stored in the string constant pool, right? So for that, I have a string constant pool. Suppose it is a string constant pool. Imagine that. Okay, string constant pool. Suppose I am storing that what it is, the same RAM. Okay, RAM and Seta, right? Suppose that see RAM will be stored at this RAM is storing at the suppose 0 x 123 or 23. Okay, then this name, what this name variable stores is this 0x23, not the RAM value. Okay, name stores the 0x23. Okay, suppose here also I can ob2 dot name value also I am giving as a RAM, then ob2 dot name also storing the same thing. But in the integers things it will be the difference. Suppose I will store the age as a 10, ob1 dot age is equal to 10, then here directly age equals to 10 it will store. Okay, and also here also age equal to 15 I can store, then here also the same thing, 15 will be stored. That means every time it will create an value or allocate some memory to that variable. But the string constants also, that means the literals only it will be the different. The literal value stores in some constant pool, and that references will be stored by the variables. Okay, suppose here I have the also storing the rama, then this is also refers to the same memory location. If anything, suppose here capital R is there, I can go with the smaller, then it will be the different, it will store in the another memory location of 0x25, then it will refers with that. Here you have to understand with the strings all are stored in a constant pool. At the time of strings also I'll mention that strings liter, that means literally stores in the string constant pool. But if you are go with the other approach of creating the strings new string of, then it will be stored in a objects only. When you are go with the literals only it will stores there, right? It is the concept. That means objects how can you create, and properties how can you access, methods how can you access. By using the dot operator you have to access the methods and the properties. Okay, this is the how to create an object and how can you access it. Next one thing is there, constructors. These constructors also we have a types. First one, default constructors. Default constructor. Second one is parameterized constructors. Default constructor and parameterized constructors. Okay, what is the default constructors and what are the parameterized constructors? Suppose at the time of creation of an object you have to assign some values. At the time of creation of an object you are intend to assigning some values. Suppose like this, not a way, I have to assigning the values at the time of creation of an object. Normally what the constructor will do is constructor is also like a one method. Constructor is also like a one method, but the difference is your constructor method name is always, suppose constructor is a method, right? Method what it has, method with one public access modifier or one access modifier, one return type and method name, right? But come to the constructor, constructor is with the only access modifier and the class name without return type. You're not mentioning any void or int or any return type. Without return type it will be mentioned. Suppose my class name is oops intro, right? Always your constructor name is a class name only. It is one constructor, we are calling it as a default constructor. If you are calling like new oops intro, this means you are calling a default constructor of the class. If you are calling the constructor means, if you're calling the constructor means, actually why the constructor helps to is initializing the basic class variables. Initializing the basic class variables, then constructor will be a constructor is also like a one method, but the difference here is you are not calling the constructor. When you are creating an object, at the first it will runs the constructor only. If you are creating an object, by defaultly it will call the constructor, no need to call the constructor again. Normally method means if you are calling the method only it will access or it will runs, right? Constructor is also like a method, but it will, if you are not calling, suppose the simple way I can tell you, sys out of constructor is called, why two times it will come constructor is called, because of object 1 and object 2. Every time you are creating an object, first what will happen is it will call the constructor, but I am not manually I am not converting the constructor, right? Defaultly when you are creating an object it will call the constructor. In the first step when you are creating an object, your constructor will be called, right? Your constructor will be called. Constructor is like a method, but you are not mentioning any return type. Constructor is always with a class name. Okay, this is the thing you have to remember. It is a default constructor. Default constructor is nothing but, suppose you want to initialize some values with the default values. Suppose if I create a constructor, I am assigning the things of why, because imagine a thing, for in a college or in a school, every student have the different name and the different age and the different branch. That means some students have the different branch, but all have the same common thing. What is that? School name is the same common thing, right? That means every student you can initialize with the same school name. That the thing you can do with here. Suppose I can take the another variable of a public school name. It was a string type, suppose. Here if you observe, string is with a null. String is with a default value of null. If you want to know for every data type what is the default value, simply you can declare in the class variables, you can try to print it in a one method and call this method, then you can get it. Okay, class school name, I can initialize that school name with the school name equals to, suppose xyz. Okay, that means here I can write in the school of in the school of a, what it is, okay, It is a variable, right? In the school of school name, it is a default constructor. Default constructor is nothing but normally you are not passing any values to that constructor. It will run xyz. The xyz is same for the all the things, right? You can change the this whatever we call name and the age, and also you can change the school name for the particular students also, but there is no need to change for the school name, right? So you can pass with the constructor and assigning the default ones. And this is a default constructor. That means you are not passing any values to the constructor. It will be the default constructor or a non-parameterized constructor. Non-parameterized constructor. Default constructor is nothing but if you are not creating this constructor also, if you are not creating this constructor also, by defaultly one constructor is there, it will be run. Why? Because every class contain one default constructor. How you can know is, suppose I think hmm, it is the only class. Okay. Normally one default constructor by defaultly it will available, but you can have to check it. Then you can initialize with a default non-parameterized constructor like this. One thing, another thing is there, it will be the parameterized constructor. How can you go with the parameterized constructor is suppose this public string and name is there, right? Control C and the control V. Okay, here I can pass the values. Suppose int age comma string name. Okay, and here I can assign the values with name equals to name, age equals to age. Suppose if you observe this name and the age, the same variables what I am passing here, I am using the same things here also, right? You are getting some confusion. What is this name and what is this name? To differentiate this, we have a this keyword. This is nothing but this usually helps to refers the current instance. Suppose you are this normally when you can understand a lot is suppose you have a child classes and all, you are inherited from different ways, then you have to know at the one moment where you are actually, then this keyword helps to go with that instance. This is a keyword actually refers to the current instance. Then simply I can use normally this dot name and this dot age. This dot name and this dot age. Why? Because suppose hmm, hmm. suppose name equals to hello is there. Suppose here I can print this out of my name. What will be my output? Absolutely, it will be the what the value I am passing here. It is a parameter concern, so I have to pass the values of here I can pass RAM of the age 23 and also for the what it is mm, Sita of the age 21. Why I am not suppose why I am getting the error? Because of in the constructor I am following the order of integer and the strings. In the constructor I am following the order of integer and the string, but here I am following the order of string and the integer. Because of that I am getting the error. So you can do one thing, replace the things, control C, control V, right? Now the error can be removed the same way, control C, right? Suppose imagine the thing, if I am trying to print the a name here, what I am getting? What I am getting? I am absolutely getting the Ram and Sita. I'm not getting this hello. Why? Because here actually name means hello, but it was override by the local variable name. So I can get the here what the value I am passing in my constructor. Normally constructor is helps to initializing the variables. Suppose once I'll run it, I can get an output of Ram Sita school this dot h. Okay, Ram is with the age of 23 in the school XYZ. Ram Sita. Why? This will suppose if I place like this dot name here, this dot name here, then you can observe my output. Hello, hello. Why? Because this dot name means this refers to the current object instance. That means this dot name means it is oops dot name, oops intro dot name. This meaning. Suppose if I print the same thing with the here, the same this dot name here, then the value will be different. Why? Because this dot name value changing with the name. Normally, why this keyword helps to you? Suppose you are using the same variable name. Suppose you are using the same variables name in the constructor and the properties, then you have to differentiate your properties and the variables. Then this keyword helps to you. This refers to the current instance. Suppose here you can use the capital A, then small age is different, capital age is different. So there is no possibility for overlapping. If you are using the same names only, there will be a overriding and overloading will be chance to be occur, right? If you are the variable names are different, then it will not possible. This is a keyword. This is a keyword helps to refer the current instance. Okay, right. Normally, if you want to pass a object as a variable, then this you are passing. This you are pass. Suppose we can see in the concept of inheritance, then you can understand. Okay, normally this is the usage for that. This refers to the current instance. Normally this is the better way. You have to follow this dot name, this dot age, this dot school name, like that you have to follow is a better option. Why? Because you can differentiate with the names of this all things. Okay, when you are go with like that, here also you can print like this dot name, and here also you can print like this dot age, and here also you can this dot school and school are both are the same. School name as same, right? This is the way. Parameterized constructor is nothing but a you are passing the variable values in the constructor at the time of object creation. You are intent to pass some values, then it is the way, it is the one way to do like that, right? uh, Here what you observe is one was the constructor, default constructor, parameterized and non-parameterized. Default constructor is a hidden constructor. It is not visible to us. Parameters and non-parameters are the user defined constructor. That means you can create a constructor. First you have to understand why the constructor. Constructor is for assigning initial values or some particular task you have to done at the time of creation of an object. Like that thing. If you are creating an object means your constructor will be called itself. Okay. Then what you discuss let that this is a keyword, right? Keyword in the this keyword what you understand, this keyword helps to refer the current instance. Okay, current instance. So you have to refer the current instance. This keyword helps you. And another keyword is the super. It is passing the values to the parent constructor. We are seeing that in the concept of inheritance. This is all about the oops. What is the oops introduction and the constructor and the object, this keyword. But you have to understand the main concept in the oops. We're calling it a pillars of oops. Simply oops concepts. First one, inheritance. Second one, encapsulation. Third one, abstraction. Fourth one, polymorphism. These are the four concepts. But another one is there, interfaces. It is nothing but a one base, one subconcept in the abstraction, one subconcept in the abstraction interfaces. These are the five concepts you have to be focus on under the oops. Inheritance is nothing but a normal a child parent concept. Encapsulation is for data handling. Normally, it is for code reusability. Okay, it is for code reusability. Encapsulation is for data binding, and abstraction is for functionality handling. Okay, and polymorphism is for one can be accessed many things. One into the one into many. That means one can be accessed many things. One into many. And interfaces. Interfaces is also like a abstraction. Interfaces is also like a it is also like a abstraction. But one difference is interfaces only contains the abstract methods. Interfaces only contains the abstract methods. Why the interfaces concept will be occur because of you have to achieving the multiple inheritance and all the things. Okay, right. We are moving to those concept by tomorrow. I think in the week we are getting two classes. Okay, inheritance is the bigger concept, encapsulation and abstraction, polymorphism, small concepts. We'll go through that. Right. This is all about for today. We'll discuss this all the concept tomorrow. Okay, thank you.